Hi everybody. Sorry I haven't been releasing any videos lately. I've been actually kind of busy. Uh, they do keep you busy here between attending religious classes and doing work and things like that. Uh, I know I'm going to come off as sounding like a big complainer, but these are only small gripes that I've had, except for one. Uh, well, I'll start with the smallest gripe. Uh, One of the pastors has renegotiated our bargain that we had for me to come here, not allowing me access to my phones on the weekend, which means, firstly, I don't do videos on the weekend, and secondly, I've lost 2/7 of my pocketable income as the part-time job I have, all that goes to pay for child support. Uh, The other small gripe I have is, well, they force me to go to this church. Well, they don't force me. Nobody's holding a gun to my head. Uh, but I went to the church that they recommended. There, that's the word I should use. Uh, so I went for the second time yesterday. Uh, I rode my bike there, and the pastor there. Okay, we they'd had a visitor, a missionary from Lebanon, whose English was pretty good but not perfect. And he made the mistake of calling an in law a cousin. And the pastor made a very off colored comment that marriage between cousins is something they do in Kentucky more than once. Now, if this were my child, I would probably take them outside and say, hey, you don't say such things in church. Uh, But this came from the pastor, the head of the congregation said this more than once. And I don't think church is the place for such comments. I didn't find it funny. I don't have any relatives or have ever even been in Kentucky. And this is definitely something a pastor shouldn't be joking about. uh, but my biggest gripe is with this gentleman named Doug. Doug was a guy that came in, I don't know, about a month ago. And he used to come down to the cold shelter. And I felt sorry for the guy. Well, firstly, how I met him was he was throwing trash for the mission. Instead of walking down the steps, he was throwing it over the fence. And he could not hit the dumpster, so I picked it up for him. So later, he came down in the middle of the night while we were waiting to get in to the shelter. And I felt bad for the guy, and I said, Doug, is there like any music I can play for you or anything? And for like a week, he would come down and sit for like 2 hours and ask to hear some music and tell his life story and everything. I mean, the poor fella hasn't had that great a life. He lost his wife. Uh, his daughter's the victim of spousal abuse, and he lost his job, and he comes all the way from Arkansas to West Virginia. I don't know if you know anything about American geography, but that's not close. So anyway, he has a very abrasive personality. He cannot tell a joke. He cannot understand a joke. The only time he laughs if it's something that involves a physical embarrassment. So he's been here working the past couple weeks, like maybe 2.5 hours a day, washing dishes in the kitchen. And somehow he got the impression that this was going to quickly lead to a job for him, when most people have to wait, 9 months, a year to get a paying job for the mission. They call it an internship. So he was griping about that. Then somehow, from one of the people in the cold shelter, the homeless nighttime shelter, had told him I was coming up here because I was getting paid. And then add to it that I have easy and regular access to my phones, which is true. It was part of the deal. And it led to, him having an explosion. The whole world's against him. Nobody's here to help him. But yet, they're giving him a little bit of money. I think $1 a day. They're putting a roof over his head when he had none. He's getting free food. They helped him register for food stamps. He has a room all to himself. He has a bathroom all to himself. And he has a TV with about 70 channels. And all he seems to do is complain. Well, it's clear the poor fellow definitely has some kind of mental illness. So this all peaked this past weekend when me and him were taken to Walmart because I needed to buy some clothes, and I guess he just wanted to get out, which I don't blame him. I use every excuse I can to get out, which is quite often actually. But I'm not doing drugs, I'm not drinking, I'm just getting fresh air and taking a bike ride. But this all peaked. You could tell in his attitude he was very irritated and agitated about something. And so finally he broke out like, why has he been breaking his back for a month and I've only worked for 1 hour and I'm getting paid? And I'm like, Doug, hey bud, I'm not getting paid. I'm not even getting that $1 a day. When they tell you I'm working on my phones doing surveys and going to sheets and working. So it seemed like everything was like back to good measure with him. He was calm again. But then the very next day, yesterday, we went to church and he rode the church bus, and as I said, I rode a bike. And I didn't appreciate the comments that were being made. So I left after Bible study. Now, they had a big dinner and everything, but I'd left in the middle of a snowstorm and rode my bike 5 miles to come back to the mission. And I went to work helping the cook in the kitchen, just washing dishes. So I did this for lunch and for half a dinner. But during church, the Bible study, he gets up and he moves away from the group because there were me and 2 other gentlemen and him, goes and sits by this group of women, and he just had this look in his eyes like a shark with blood in the water, like date raper face, and he's just ogling these women with his eyes. And it was funny at first, but then pathetic, and then moved to the realm of creepy. So I'm down there for 5.5 hours washing dishes. So he comes back right before the kitchen's closed, and he starts saying, "Can I help?" Well, the cook said no, we got it under control. He comes back 3 other times asking if we want help. And I'm finally like, "Okay, Doug, here, you can do it. You can finish it up." There was like, I don't know, maybe 2 more loads of dishes after I had done about 45 loads of dishes in this washing machine. So then he's like real happy, and he starts pointing out like everything I've done wrong. And I'm like, "Doug, I've been here for 5.5 hours and you just got here." I said I could do really well in a sprint race if it were only 3-meter race. So then I left. I went to my room. But then Doug had left his cup in the kitchen after it was locked up. And he went upstairs and where he's not supposed to go. That's the intern wing. That's where I stay. And he went and found the cook was talking to somebody because he was once a resident here. And he said to the cook, who turned out to be, oddly enough, one of my best friends, Joe, who I told you about, who's come back to the mission. And Joe was talking to a couple of the guys that he knows, and he says, Doug says to him, "I'm down there breaking my back, and you're sitting up here bullshitting or talking or whatever." And that sparks a whole other complex situation, a complex situation. The thing about this guy, Doug, is even though it's not his intentions, everything he does and says is abrasive. Not intelligently abrasive, not humorously sarcastic abrasive, but just fingernails on the chalkboard abrasive. He has no inner intuition to tell him how to address individuals. He just addresses everybody the same way with the same, I don't know, it sounds like venom in his voice. And I feel sorry for the guy about his wife and his situation, but then again, I don't even know if it's true. He just might be some crackhead from Arkansas who got taken for a ride to West Virginia. But he's vastly making every single person here mad. And everything I ask to do, and it's kind of funny, is everybody says, yes, just don't tell Doug. Like the other night I got a pizza, and they're like at the front desk where you do security, where you check in and check out and visitors check in. They said, no problem, just don't tell Doug. And that's one example. And it's everything that I do here is always ended with the phrase, don't tell Doug. It's not like he's an imposing character. He's a little guy. But I don't know, just don't tell Doug. Don't tell Doug, I said not to tell Doug. So that's the end of, well, almost my first week here. Everything's fine. Everybody treats me nicely, even the people I've had problems with in the past. The one guy that used to be the supervisor down in the cold shelter, that we didn't get along so well, we're getting along splendidly now. He's a changed person for the better. I've learned from my mistakes, and I hope we can get past it. And everybody's treating me great. Everything that I don't agree with is usually misunderstanding. And that's about all. Oh, I even have a nice room. I mean, it's my own room. The bed's the same as they have down in the cold overnight shelter, but it wasn't they're not bad beds. Uh, and I have a TV, and the only bad part is there's a lot of guys sharing one bathroom. And this Doug guy complains because he's all alone in the wing where he's at. Well, he doesn't have to share a bathroom with 6 other guys. Uh, Men are such pigs anyway. I'm even ashamed. But I'm no different from them. Uh, so that's my first week here at the Union Mission Shelter in their program. I can't even say I'm in a program because I'm not doing anything other than going to church for a half hour in the morning and twice on Sunday. I don't even see how it's very programish. It's something that everybody should probably do. I'm giving up smoking because I'm not allowed to smoke on property, but I need to do this for my health anyway. But they never said not to smoke when I'm off property. So I'm not even being forced to quit smoking. I'm just following the rules. So I don't even see what program it is. It's everyday life for me. Okay, that's the end of my video. It's getting kind of long. Like, subscribe, comment. Please comment what you think about this program so far. And please donate if you're able, even if it's just 10 cents or 10 shekels. And we'll make you another video here real soon. I'm really sorry, but there just isn't the drama in here that there is when I'm out in the streets. Everybody take care of yourselves. Have a great day.